Good morning.
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
गुरुपरम्परा
ॐ
सहना
सहनाववतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
भुनक्तु
सह
सह
वीर्यं
वीर्यं
करवावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
विद्विषावहै
विद्विषावहै ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्ति शान्ति
शान्तिः Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Good morning, everybody.
ॐ
Om
तत्सत्
Tat
ॐ
Sat.
नमः शिवाय
So we are on the second chapter, the first adhyaya, and the seventh mantra, 217 of Kathopanishad. So we will chant. Please unmute yourself and we can chant. या प्राणेन सम्भवति
या
आः
प्राणेन
प्राणेन
सम्भवति
सम्भवति
जितिर्देवतामयी
इतिर्देवतामयि
आदितिर्देवतामयि
मां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तीम्
गुहां
मां
प्रविश्य
प्रविष्टतिष्ठन्ति
तिष्ठन्ति
या भूतेभिर्व्यजायत्
या
या
भूतेर्व्यजायत
भूतेर्व्यजायत
तद्वै तत्
एतद्वै
एतद्वै
तत्
तत्
So, Aditihi. I'll just mute all of y'all so that the recording doesn't get disturbed. So, Aditihi. So, this Atma, he knows this Atma as Aditihi. And what is Aditihi? Devata Mai. She is, Mayam is the a product. So, Devata Mai, who is the embodiment of all the Devatas, and Yaha Sambhavati, who is born Pranena in the form of Hiranyagarbha, and Yajayataha, who is born Bhutebihi, along with all the five Bhutani, and once having been born, Pravishya, he enters Guham, the heart, and having entered Tishthanti, he resides there, he stays there. Etat Vaitat. This, O Nachiketas, is indeed that which you asked about. So, this is a description of Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahmaji. And he says, Yaha pranena sambhavati. Born from prana, which means this Hiranyagarbha is the samashti prana tattvam, the universal prana tattvam. And that is why, because Hiranyagarbha is the total prana, that is why in our culture we respect all forms of life as the very Hiranyagarbha himself. And from these tenets of the Shastram springs our basic value, ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha. Prana anywhere in any jiva is what? Is nothing but the Hiranyagarbha, Lord Brahmaji. That is why all forms of life are respected. Of course, like there are certain living beings which we destroy necessarily. For example, you eat plants, right? Plant is a jiva, but because of the way that our body is structured, we need food, and therefore plant is eaten. You're destroying a jiva. And for this, the necessary, even unavoidable papam, we have a special name in the Shastra, but it's called Suna. Suna. It's a evil which cannot be avoided. because of the very way in which you are built. Your body needs some things. Of course, there are other things which may be avoidable but are not practical. For example, cockroaches in your house, insects in your house, mosquitoes in your house. You use mosquito spray, you use insecticides, you use cockroach spray, basically to make life more comfortable and make sure that your body doesn't get affected with any problems that these creatures may cause. This is also Suna, right? And for Suna, what is the remedy? We have discussed this earlier. For this Suna, for this unavoidable papam, which all of us necessarily commit, what does Shastra prescribe as remedy?
Panchamahayagna.
Very good. Panchamahayagna. So you do the Panchamahayagna every day, and Shastra says there is a prayashchitam karma for all this kind of necessarily unavoidable path. Anyway, coming back to our mantra, Aditi here is the word is born from is derived from Adanam, experiencing, right? So when you take it as the masculine gender, it is Bhokta, the experiencer. The Bhokta in um, feminine gender is Aditi also. So Aditi is feminine gender, and Aditi is Sarva Bhokta, the experience of the world, experiencer of the world. Why? Devata Mai, full of all the Devatas. Now we have seen in Tattva Bodha that there are several Devatas in your Sukshma Shariram. How many are there? What is the function of the Devata in the subtle body?
Indriyas, it's the Indriyas, in the Sukshma body.
No, that is there. I'm not saying no. What I am saying is, what is the function of a Devata in that body,
That
in that
power of
Suksh?
each of
So,
these Indriyas is presided over by a deity, which is called a Devta in
yeah. So
totality.
every Indriya has got a presiding Devata, right? So then how many Devatas are there?
Thus, Indriya has pa- five, hmm,
No, there are 17 or
17.
19, depending on how you count. So there are 17. We'll take it as 17. There are 17 devatas in the Shukshtiram. And this is at Vyashti level, at the micro level. At the Samashti level, it is almost a mirror. Therefore, at the Samashti level also, there will be 17 devatas or 19 devatas, depending on how you count. Okay. Why? Because the Samashti and the Vyashti are all very similar. And these 17 devatas are the constituents of which Hiranyagarbha is composed. The Hiranyagarbha is nothing but Samashti Sukshma Shariram, right? You have Vyashti Sukshma Shariram, individual body, individual subtle body with 17 devatas. You aggregate all the individual subtle bodies, and what do you get? You get Samashti subtle body, the Samashti Sukshma Shariram, which is another name for Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, Hiranyagarbha consists of all these devatas. That is why Devata Mai, composed of or full of devatas. And Etat Vaitat, this Hiranyagarbha is also Atma. This is the important message. This Hiranyagarbha cannot exist separately from Atma. And that Atma is who? That Atma is I, myself alone. And therefore, what is the conclusion from this mantra? I alone exist in the form of Hiranya. So all Nididhyasanam mantras, everything will finally come to the conclusion that I am all that there is. Everyone in the universe is not separate from me. And that includes Lord Brahmaji, Hiranyagarbha. I alone exist in that form also. Okay. Now we go to the next mantra, the eighth mantra. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. अरण्योर्निहितो जातवेदाः
अरण्योर्निहितो
अरण्योर्निहितो
जातवेदाः
जातवेदाः
गर्भ इव सुभ्रतो गर्भिणीभिः
गर्भ
इव सुब्रतो
गर्भवतो
गर्भिणीभिः
गर्भिणीभिः
गर्भ इव सुभ्रतो गर्भिणीभिः
गर्भ इव सुब्रतो
गर्भवतो
गर्भिणीभिः
गर्भिणीभिः
दिवे दिव ईड्यो जाग्रवद्भिः
देवे
दिवे दिव
देवयो
ईड्यो जाग्रवद्भिः
जातवेदाः
दिवे दिव ईडयो जाग्रवद्भिः
दिवे
दिवे दिव ईड्यो
देवयो
जागृवद्भिः
हविष्मद्भिर्मनुष्येर्भिरग्निः
हविष्मद्भिर्मनुष्येभिरग्निः
Don't twist us, but by now you should have got the hang of how to break the words. Havishmat bhir manusye bhir agnihi. So dive deva idayo jagravadbihi havishmat bhir manusye bhir agnihi. Let's do that again. Dive deva idayo jagravadbihi
दिवे
दिवे
दिव
दिव ईड्यो जागृवद्भिः
havishmat bhir manusye bhir agnihi.
मनुष्येभिरग्निः
एतद्वै तत्
एतद्वै तत्
So, Jatavedaha. Where did we come across this particular name? Jatavedaha. Not very long ago.
Kenopanishad.
Kathopanishad. Who is Jatavedaha?
Fire.
अग्नि
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 Agni Devata. Right. So, Jatavedaha, Agni Devata, or the fire. Nihitaha. Nihita means present. Aranyoho. What is Aranyaha? Arani.
Forest. Pieces of wood.
wood
Forest or wood.
Arani, yeah, okay, from the forest. Therefore, Arani is pieces of wood, right? So, Aranyoho, and this is dual number. Therefore, Jata Veda, the fire is present in the Arani. What is he talking about?
Arani is the one that is used to create fire for Vedic rituals.
Very good. So, for
Yes.
any Vedic ritual, you cannot use a matchbox or a cigarette lighter. Okay. You have to use two pieces of wood, which are called Aranis. One is a lower Arani, one is a higher, one upper Arani. We'll talk about that. And Subhrata. Subhrata means maintained carefully. So Bharat is to maintain. So Bharat, carefully maintain. And then he gives an example. Eva, just like, what is example? The example is Garbaha, Garbinihi. Just as the fetus, the Garbaha, is carefully maintained by the Garbinihi, by the pregnant mother, the expecting mother. And Agnihi, this fire, Diva, Dive Diva Idayaha. Daily, Dive Diva, one day by day, daily, Idayaha, worshipped, by whom Manushye Bihi, by those people, Havishmat Bihi. Havishmat Bihi is a person who gives the Havis, the oblations. Therefore, Havishmat Bihi is the ritualist, the Karma Kandi, who does daily rituals. So is this fire is worshipped by those ritualists, those karma kandis, as well as Jagravad Bihi. So Jagravad Bihi is one. Jagravad means the daytime, right? The waking state. So alertness is being talked about. Jagravad Bihi, the persons who are always alert. What could be the possible translation of that? Who is always alert? What do you do to keep yourself focused?
Goal is kept in mind all the time.
No, what do we do to make sure that our mind is focused?
Meditate. Are we talking
Meditate.
about meditation? Yeah.
Meditate. See, it's not very difficult. You have to just, think about all that you have studied. So Jagravat Bihi is the meditators. Therefore, this fire is daily worshipped by ritualists and meditators. Etadvaitat. That fire is indeed Brahman, Atma, the one you asked about in Nachiketas. So here, in the last mantra, what did we talk about?
The Sukshma Prapancha.
Hiranyagarbha. In the mantras before that, we talked about Antaryami, Ishvara. So what should be talked about here logically?
The Sthula Prapancha.
Virata.
What is it called? Virat.
Virata.
Virat.
Right. So we are talking about Virat as Agni. Right. Okay. So this flow, you should be able to understand. And that is why I keep saying that before you come to every class, just revise the last few classes. Then it makes a lot of sense. So he's saying this Virat is also Atma. Right. And just like when I project a dream, I have a universe, the dream universe, and I have the dreamer I. In that universe, there are three different things, right? I, the dreamer, I am present in the universe, in the dream universe. And also, the whole universe is present with all its objects. Now, what is the constitution of the dreamer I and the entire objects of the dream universe? It is nothing but the waker I's mind, right? I, the waker, project the dream universe as well as the dreamer and all the objects in the dream universe. So even the dream elephant, the dream, bank robber, the dream tiger, and the dreamer, I myself, all are nothing but different, not different from my mind. Therefore, I alone appear as the dreamer and also as every object in the dream universe. And so here the message is being given in a Shastric language. Similarly, I, the Atma, alone appear as the Jiva, the Jagat, and as Ishvara. Right? So this message is, of course, being given using the Shastric symbolism. And the universe is divided into three: Karana Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha, and Sthula Prapancha. And we have seen Karana Prapancha as Ishvara and Sukshma Prapancha as Hiranyagarbha. Now we are looking at Sthula Prapancha as Virat, right? And Agni is being used to symbolize Virat. The mantra talks about Virat as Agni. What are the reasons for choosing Agni as the symbolism for Virat? Virat, if you remember from the Bhagavad Gita, the 10th and the 11th chapters, what is the presentation of Virat as?
Vishwarupa.
Vishwarupa Ishvara, right? Okay. So everywhere. And therefore, what is there everywhere in this world? If you look at the Vaidika, he has a sacred fire outside which he worships regularly, right? And inside also he has a sacred fire because Bhagavan is all pervading, right? What is the external sacred fire or where is it available? So what is being said is just like Virat is all pervading externally and internally. The sacred fire Agni is also all pervading externally and internally. And what is the external sacred fire? All the Yaga Agni, all the fires which are used in Vedic rituals. And that is why he talks about Aranis. Two Aranyoho. Aranyoho is dual case saying two pieces of wood. Arani is the wood over here. And this wood, you can't just go up and pick up any wood, right? You can't go to the carpenter and take two pieces of wood. It's prescribed in Karma Kanda. So there are two trees. Vriksha is a tree. So there's a tree called Ashwattaha Vrikshaha. Ashwattaha we have seen earlier, where
Mundaka.
ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः शाखः.
yeah, we
15.
have seen that 15th chapter. Okay, we have seen that. So Ashwattaha Vriksha is one of the trees, and there's another tree called Shami. So there are two trees, Ashwattaha and Shami. From these trees, two logs of wood or two pieces of wood are carved out. There is one wood in the shape of a small pole, which is the lower one, and that is the Ashwattha tree, Ashwattha Vriksha. The, the pole carved out from Ashwattha tree is the lower position, and there is a rod which is carved out from Shami Vriksha. So the rod fits into the pole. And what do you do to get the fire? It's obvious, right?
It's a
Yeah,
mantana.
friction.
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 Move it around.
You generate friction. And therefore, Shami Vriksha is the Urdhava Arni, upper piece of wood. And Adho Arni is the Ashwataha Vriksha. The upper Arni, when moved about, will will have friction with the lower Arni and sparks will come. From these sparks, the fire has to be kindled. This is the only way, right? You cannot use any other way for kindling the fire. And since the blocks are producing the fire, these blocks are referred to as the home or the abode of Yaga Agni. And this Virata Agni is worshipped by the ritualists. And we also know there is another mantra. What is that about the digestive fire?
Jatara.
Vaishvanara.
Ham
Vaishwana.
Vaishvanara. Right. So that digestive fire is also meditated upon by you. Therefore, one is a meditation and one is a ritualist. That's why that is referred to in two places. Havishmadhi is the ritualist, right? The other person is the meditator. He meditates upon the digestive fire. All this, incidentally, is not my creation. Okay, it's all from Upanishads. Pradaranyaka Upanishad talks about all this. And because your stomach has Vaishvanara Agni, you are always carrying Virat Ishvara with you in the form of your digestive fire. And from this, a lot of our customs, a lot of our customs are born from this understanding that you must always treat fire reverentially. Never offer tamasika food to Bhagavan, right? Never offer meat, never offer liquor. These are all the basis for these shastric prohibitions and mandates. You give good food, fresh food. Don't give meat. Don't give liquor. Don't smoke because that also you're doing inside, right? You're inhaling it, and therefore the upasaka has to be extremely alert. And that's why he says, like an expecting mother, protecting the baby, the fetus, by eating properly and being careful about everything. So the baby is not harmed. Therefore, we all of us upasakas are like this, expecting mothers. The expecting mother carries the fetus for 9 months. But you, the upasaka, carry that Virat Agni throughout your life. Right? Incidentally, there's also one reason. I don't know how many of you are aware. When you light the fire for, let us say, in your puja room, right? The lamp is lighted. How are you supposed to put off the lamp?
Not by blowing, but
Not
by
by blowing.
using our fingers.
Why not by blowing?
It's ushta, the bacteria or the
The spit,
impurities from our
the spit from your,
spit. Yeah,
will hit the
saliva.
fire. And that
Yeah,
fire is who? Hiranyagarbha. And the Virat in this case. And therefore,
Virat.
all these small customs, they're all born from here. We should know why they are there. And Yamaraj is saying that this Virat is also none other than the Atma. So he says, Jata Vedaha, the sacred fire, Aranyoho Nihitaha, which is residing between the pieces of wood. In what form? In the form of Yaga Agnihi. Therefore, Havishmadbihi Manushyebihi, all those peoples who are ritualists, they are worshipping this fire. How? Dive Divya Idyaha. Daily they worship. This is description of Virat outside, the external fire outside you. And the same fire is worshipped as the Vaishvanara Agni by Jagravatbihi, the alert people, the meditators. And how do they do it? Aranyoho, that fire, Subhat, is carefully maintained. Garbhinihi Garbhaiva, just as the pregnant lady very carefully takes care of the fetus. And Agnihi, this fire, etad vaitat, that indeed, Henachiketas, is the Brahman, is the Atma which you asked about. So we put all these mantras together. What do you get? Aham Ishvaraha, Aham Hiranyagarbhaha, Aham Virataha. I am Ishvara, I am Hiranyagarbha, I am Virat. It is common between all these three, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, and Virat.
OC.
Yeah, but would you like to
Brahman.
explain a bit more? You look at Tattvabodha and talk. When you look at Tattvabodha, and how do you explain Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat?
The
Brahma.
is this Sthula Prapancha with the reflected consciousness from the Sthula Prapancha.
Yes.
And Hiranyagarbha is the reflected consciousness from the Sukshma Prapancha, and Antaryami is the RC from the Karana Prapancha.
So what is common?
Maya Sahit Atma.
Brahman.
Brahman is
Brahman
Brahman
alone is
is
common. Okay, because one is, you have to break it up. One is the the Sthula Prapancha plus Brahman. One is Sukshma Prapancha plus Brahman. One is Karana Prapancha plus Brahman. If you take away all the reflecting media, what remains? Brahman alone remains. Therefore, I am Brahman. All the rest is Nama Rupa. The Nama Rupa is called Maya. When you say I am Ishvara in the sense of Antaryami, then you are Brahman plus Maya. When you say I am Hiranyagarbha, you are Brahman plus Sukshariram. When you say I am Virat, you are Brahman plus Sthula Shariram. But when you drop all the Namarupas and you say Aham Brahmasmi, you are Brahman alone, the consciousness principle alone. Right? So every mantra, ultimately you have to come to this for the purpose of Nididhyasanam, understanding. We look at mantra number 9. Let us chant. Yataschodeti suryah
यतश्चोदेति सूर्यः
astam yatra cha gacchati
अस्तं यत्र च गच्छति
tam devas sarve arpitaः
तं देवाः सर्वे अर्पिताः
तदुनात्येति कश्चन
तदुनात्येति कश्चन
एतद्वै तत्
एतद्वै तत्
So sarve devaha, all the gods, tam arpitaha, are based on that, tam on that, yataha cha, from which suryaha udeti. You can understand, from which the sun arises, yatra, cha yatra, and into which astam gacchati. You have to say suryaha astam gacchati. Surya sets. And U here is a indeed, exclamation mark, indeed. Na kaschan atyeti tat, nothing surpasses that. Atyeti exceeds or surpasses. Na kaschan atyeti yat, nothing exceeds that. Etat vaitat, That indeed is that Brahman which you asked about. Hey Nachiketas. Okay. Now in this, you have to make one small mental note or a physical note that mantra 6 and 7 dealt with Hiranyagarbha. Okay. Mantra number 8 was the last mantra we did, dealt with Virat. Now this mantra is again dealing with Hiranyagarbha. So just keep that in mind that the intermediate mantra is not in sequence. 6, 7 and 9 are dealing with Hiranyagarbha while 8 deals with Virat. So you should not get confused when you're studying the mantras together. 8 is a separate mantra dealing with Virat. Okay. So as we said earlier, the Hiranyagarbha is the aggregate of all the presiding devatas of all the Indriyas. And therefore here the mantra is saying that all the individual presiding devatas, they are they are established, they are resting in Hiranyagarbha only. And ultimately they resolve into Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, Hiranyagarbha is the samashti and the individual Indra devatas are the vyashti, the part of Hiranyagarbha. And this is how, what is being said here, that Hiranyagarbha is the Srishti Karanam, Sthiti Karanam, and Laya Karanam for every devata. Every single devata arises, is born from Hiranyagarbha, is maintained in Hiranyagarbha, and resolves in Hiranyagarbha. Why? Because Hiranyagarbha is the totality. And among all the individual devatas, the presiding devatas, which is the one which is the most predominant one?
Indra, are we talking about?
We're talking about
Surya.
presiding devatas.
Oh,
Surya.
Surya.
Surya
That
Devata, right? And why is Surya Devata the most prominent Devata? You have to connect it back to Tattvabodha.
Eyes, because it represents the
Because your
Chakshu.
eyes are your most prominent Indriya, right? Because eye is the most prominent Indriya. Therefore, Surya Devata is also the most prominent presiding deity. And that is why Aditya Hridayam. What is Aditya Hridayam?
That
Stotra.
is the
The,
worshipping of
worship of
Surya
Surya Devata.
The
taught
worshipping
by
of,
Agastya to Rama.
yes. And we can also worship using the same stotram or daily Surya worship. And for darshan of Surya Devata, you don't need to go to the temple, right? What do you need to do? Get up in
Wake
the
up and
morning.
look.
Get up in the morning and stare at the
Okay.
window, right? So that's why he says Suryaha yatascha udeti. Yataha is the Hiranyagarbha. Surya yatascha udeti. That from which the sun arises. Hiranyagarbha. And therefore, because the sun arises from Hiranyagarbha here is Srishti Karanam for Suryadevata. And Astam Yatra Gachati, into that Hiranyagarbha alone, Suryadevata Astam Gachati, he resolves. Therefore, the Suryadevata arises from Hiranyagarbha and sets into Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, Suryadevata is Srishti Karanam and Laya Karanam. Okay. Why do we say the sun or the Surya Devata rises from Hiranyagarbha and resolves into Hiranyagarbha? Because sun doesn't go anywhere at night. It's still there only. It's just that you don't see it. So how should you understand that statement? Udeti and astham gacchati.
Acharya ji, can I try?
Please.
See, because of the Surya is the creator for food by photosynthesis and nourishing, and when the body drops, ultimately the elements.
No, you are looking at the Vyashti angle. We are talking Samashti over here.
Srishti and Laya.
Very good. and not pralaya. So at Srishti, what happens? Surya Devata is born, right? At pralayam, Surya Devata resolved. The sun is born at the creation and resolves at pralayam. And where does it born from and resolves into? Lord Brahmaji alone, the creator, Hiranyagarbha. That's what is meant by that statement. Okay, you have to understand it as Srishti and Pralayam, not daily, morning and evening or night. Then Devaha Sarve Tam Arpitat. So Arpitat is depends on, is supported by. That is, therefore, Hiranyagarbha, here it is saying Devaha Sarve, all the devatas, Tam Arpitat. Arpitam here is the being supported by. And therefore is referring to Hiranyagarbha as Srishti Karanam, the support for the universe. And while we're talking about Surya Devata, you should also remember that you have to extend that to all other devatas. Therefore, all devatas, including Surya Devata, are born from Hiranyagarbha, sustained by Hiranyagarbha, and resolves into Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam for all the individual devatas also. Etad Vaitat. This wonderful Hiranyagarbha is none other than that which you asked about. Hey, Nachiketas. With this, Yamaraj finishes the discussion on the Hiranyagarbha as the Sarvat. And he starts another topic over here, which we will enter into mantra number 10. We will chant. Yadeveha tadamutra
यदेवेह
यदेवेह तदमुत्र
तदमुत्र
Yadeveha tadamutra
यदेवेह
यदेवेह
तदमुत्र
तदमुत्र
Yadamutra tadanviha
यदमुत्र
यदमुत्र तदन्विह
तदन्विहा
Mrityo samrityumapnoti
मृत्यो
मृत्योः समृत्युमाप्नोति
मृत्युमाप्नोति
Ya iha naneva pashyati.
य इव
य इह
नानेन
नानेव पश्यति
पश्यति
A very inspiring, beautiful mantra, very well worth committing to memory and remembering all the time. So yadeveha, yad iha, tad yad iha. Okay. That which is here, eva amutra. So you have to first take the two words, yade veha tadamutra, and then break them up. Yat tada iha eva amutra. And then rearrange. Tada yat iha, that which is here, amutra eva, that alone is there. Okay. That which is here, that alone is there. And then tada yat amutra, that which is there, tad iha anuhu, that alone is here. So the first line means what? That which is there, that alone is here. That which is here, that alone is there. What does it mean?
It is everywhere.
It is everywhere is one thing.
And
Okay.
it is not two. It is
Exactly. It is only one. Non-duality. That which is there is here, and that which is here is there. That space outside your house is inside your house. And the space inside your house is outside your house. That alone is there everywhere. Only space is there. Only that is there. So there is only non-duality is the meaning of the first mantra. And therefore he says, Saha yaha pasyati nanaiva iha. Anybody who sees otherwise, naneva, nana eva, multiplicity alone. If you see nana eva, if you see plurality indeed, what happens to you? Apnoti mrityoho mrityum. You go from death to death. Right? You gain death to death. You will continuously remain in samsara. So yad eva iha. Now you remember that this yad iha is referring to consciousness principle. But what is the consciousness principle iha? The Jivatma Chaitanya. That so-called consciousness principle, which is, or rather, that consciousness principle, which is so apparently enclosed in your body. And that is why you call it Jivatma Chaitanya. That consciousness principle in the Jivatma, iha, because you are here, right, in this universe. And therefore, here means in this world, in this universe, in this Jagat, that consciousness principle which is seemingly enclosed in your body, that Jivatma Chaitanyam, that Amutraha, that same consciousness principle is present in the Samashti Shariram also. So, to put it differently, the consciousness principle present in the Veshti Shariram, in the individual body, is the same consciousness principle present in Samashti Shariram, in the universal body, which is Ishvara. Two names are used, but the substance is the same. And therefore, Jivatma and Paramatma, the Jiva and Parama are only two different prefixes, converting the Jivatma and Paramatma into two different names. But there is only Nama Bhedaha, name difference. There is no Vastu Bhedaha, there is no substance difference. And therefore, Yat Amutraha, that consciousness principle found in the Samashti Ishvara, Tadanu Iha, that itself, the same consciousness principle is found in this physical body of mine also and in the bodies of others. And what happens if I do not understand this? Yaha iha nana eva pashyati. The one who sees differences in Jivatma and Paramatma, okay, he goes from samrityoho mrityum apnoti. He goes from death to death. He will be confined to mortality. We should mention here that when you say you see no differences in Jivatma and Jivatma, or Jivatma and Paramatma, you can see them differently for transactional purposes. Right? The person next to you, for transacting purposes, he is different. But you should know that the consciousness principle is only one. Only one. The RMs are different, but the all pervading OC should be perceived, should be understood, even though the RCs seem different. So when you go to the ocean, you see the wave, right? And you can use that wave for surfing. But even while you surf on that wonderful wave, you should be able to see that it's really not wave at all. What is it?
It's the same water.
It is only water, right? So that transactional purposes, the perception of difference, handling of difference is okay. As long as you know underlying, there is no difference. And if you don't do that, samrityum, mrityoho, mrityum apnoti, he goes from death to death. He will be continuing in samsara. Now we look at the 11th mantra. Please unmute yourself and we will chant. Manasaivedamaptavyam
मनसैवेदमाप्तव्यम्
Manasaivedamaptavyam
neha nanasti kinchana
यः नानास्ति किञ्चन
mrityo samrityum gacchati
मृत्योः
Mrityosamrityam
समृत्युं गच्छति
iha naneva pashyati.
य इह नानेव पश्यति
So similar mantra, idam, this Aptavyam. Aptavyam means needs to be grasped or needs to be obtained, has to be obtained. Idam aptavyam. This has to be grasped, obtained, manasa eva, through the mind alone. And what is that? Asti na nana kinchana eva. There is no plurality, there is no multiplicity at all. Kinchana at all here. And if you don't do that, if you don't understand this through your mind, saha iha pashyati, the one who sees iha nana eva, plurality in this world, kachati mrityoho mrityum, goes from death to death. So in this world, neha nana asti kanchana, there is never any type of multiplicity at all. Sure, you will experience duality, but you know what Vedanta says, right? Experience is no proof of reality. And we have so many, examples. You experience sunrise, you experience sunset, but the truth is what? The sun does not move at all. The sun neither rises nor sets. You are just experiencing the sunrise and the sunset because the earth is rotating. Similarly, you are standing on the earth. You experience the earth as non moving. What is the reality? The earth is hurtling through space at some 60 odd thousand kilometers per hour, but you don't feel it. Experience of that movement is not there. And therefore, experience is no indicator of reality. You experience a blue sky, but you know there is no such thing as a blue sky. Therefore, kinchana nasti. The plurality is not there. But remember that after moksha, the experience of plurality will not go away. You experience plurality even now, even after becoming a jnani, you will still experience that same multiplicity. But Advaita Jnanam will be there supporting you behind all that Dvaita. We are all confused by the indriyas, by sense organs, because we see what is separate from what really is. What really is not seen. What you see is not what is really there. And therefore, one has to gain this knowledge how manasa eva idam aptavyam. The mind is the instrument through which we have to acquire the knowledge. And to acquire the knowledge, in which avastha must you be? Jagrat, Swapna, or Sushupti?
Jagrat.
Jagrat.
Jagrat. Because your manasa eva aptavyam. The learning mind should be available. It's available only in Jagrat Avastha. And only in Jagrat Avastha can you come to class. Your teacher who teaches Shastra is available only in the Jagrat Avastha. Therefore, Manasa eva, with this alert mind alone, idam, this jnanam, aptavyam, you have to acquire. Okay, now what has Yamraj establishing? Brahman alone is Satyam. The pluralistic universe is available for you in experience. But that experiential truth, the apparent truth, is not necessarily true. And in Sanskrit, we call it Dvaita Abhasa. That multiplicity is Abhasa, is an appearance only. Because really speaking, there is only Ekavastu, there is only one Brahman. And therefore, again and again, we will repeat this. Perceiving multiplicity is not a problem. In fact, you have no help but to perceive multiplicity because your sense organs are constructed, are designed to observe plurality. But in the mind, you should understand that in the intellect, you should be firmly convinced that that plurality is only mithya. And one should remember also The Shastram says that Brahman cannot be known. Full stop. Brahman cannot be known through any source of knowledge, through any pramanam at all. And that includes, Shastra Vakyam. Because Shastra Vakyam doesn't say that this is Brahman. Shastra Vakyam says Brahman is totally unknowable through any pramana. And therefore, how do you know Brahman? If Brahman is never known as an object, only an object can be known through a pramana. If Brahman can never be known as an object, which means Brahman can never be known through any pramana, that Brahman has to be what? Has to be you, the subject. And if that Brahman is not you, the subject, and Brahman is not the object, that Brahman is completely unknowable. Neither as I, neither aparoksha I is Brahman, nor the paroksha objects are Brahman. That Brahman is totally useless to anybody. What is the conclusion? Therefore, that Brahman has to be I alone. I hope you are following the argument.
Yes.
Okay. Look at one more mantra for the day. Last mantra, mantra number 12, we will chant. Angushtamatra Purushaha
Angushtamatra Purushah
Angushtamatra
Madhya Atmani Tishtati
Madhya Atmani Tishtati
Ishano Bhutabhavyasya
Ishano Bhutabhavyasya
Tato Vijugupsate
Tato Vijugupsate
Etadvaitat.
Etadvaitat
So, Purushaha. So, Purushaha here means the Atma. Purushaha Angushta Matraha. You can understand the Atma Angushta Matraha is the size of a thumb. A thumb. And who is Atma? Ishanaha is the Lord. Bhuta Bhavya Yasya of the past and the future. And you have to add here of the present. So Bhuta Bhavya Yasya of the past, future, and Vartamana, the present. And Tishtati, that Atma dwells, resides, Madhye Atmani, in the middle of the body, which is the heart. And Tataha, after knowing that Atma, na Vijagupsate, you will not feel insecure, you will not seek security. Etadvai tat. This indeed is that Brahman you asked about. So what is being said here is that before coming to Shastric study, before coming to Vedanta, the sadhaka thinks of the Jivatma and the Paramatma as different, right? And you will have heard that the Jivat Paramatma is in the size of a thumb. Why is that size of a thumb taken? Because they say Paramatma resides in the heart, right? Everybody says Ishvara resides in your heart. Now, the heart is the size of what? A fist. What is the space available in the fist? Your thumb, if you put, it's available in the fist, right? So the thumb is the size of space available in your fist. And if you take the fist as the heart, the size of space available in the heart is the size of the thumb. And therefore, it is said that Angushtamataha, this Paramatma is with the size of a thumb. Because the space available in the heart is only that of your thumb. And within that space resides the Paramatma. As what? As Jivatma. And Jivatma is often compared to a flame because the flame illumines things around you, just as the consciousness principle does. Therefore, both consciousness, Chaitanyam, and Jyotihi, flame, are Prakasha Swarupam, in the nature of illuminating sources. And now here Yamraj is saying that, really speaking, this is, it's a nice way to understand. But can Jivatma be the size of a thumb? No. Why?
Then we could see him.
Then it becomes limited.
Then it becomes limited. Jivatma cannot have a size at all because he is prevalent everywhere. Therefore, all you can say when you talk about Jivatma is in the heart, you should add one more word.
Two.
Jivatma is also in the heart. He is everywhere, and therefore he is also in the heart. Right? So here the Ramraj is saying that Saha Ishanaha, that Jivatma is none other than the all-pervading Paramatma. And what is that Ishanaha? That all-pervading Paramatma. He is the Lord of the past, the present, and the future. And Shankara adds in his commentary that you say there is space within the vessel and space outside the vessel, and therefore you refer to the space in the vessel as small space and the space outside the vessel as bigger space. But when you inquire, you discover there is no such division called small space and big space. There is only one space which cannot be divided. That is Shankara's commentary on this. And he says, similarly, Vedanta says there is only one all pervading consciousness, undivisible. That consciousness exists outside the body and inside the body. When you want to refer to that consciousness inside the body, you call it Jivatma. When you want to refer to consciousness outside, you call it Paramatma. And therefore, constant use of these two terms has confused you into thinking that there are two separate consciousness, two separate Atmas, Jivatma and Paramatma. But the truth is, Atma is not divisible. It is only one. And what is the benefit of this knowledge? Once I know that I am Ekatma, you can call me Jivatma, you can call me Paramatma. Once I know that Jivatma and Paramatma is the same Ekatma, which is I, then that is very important. It's not sufficient to say that Jivatma and Paramatma are one. You have to follow it by saying that one Atma I am. And Tataha, after getting this knowledge, na Vijugupsate, that person never feels any sense of security, insecurity, right? And we know that from the time we are born to the time we die, that is from womb to tomb, womb to tomb. What is your major problem? Insecurity. And this knowledge eliminates this problem of insecurity. There are various problems which you face. As you grow older, of course, you have fear, you have depression, you have regret, you have loneliness, all connected to what? To the body only, to the world only. These are all samsara problems. And therefore, this knowledge, it dispels all these problems. This is what is said here. Real moksha is freedom from problems. In fact, the conventional definition of moksha is escape from the world, implying that you dislike the world, right? Implying that you don't want to be born. But Shankara says you should understand that real moksha is freedom from that like and that dislike. Whether you are born again or not should make no difference to you at all. This is the real meaning of moksha. Nothing should ever be disliked, not even rebirth. So, with this, we'll stop for the day. Any questions? I hope you understand the last statement. In Gita, we have talked about this. You are Nitya Muktaha. Whether the world is born or not, it should make no difference to you at all.
Om, sir, yesterday I read something. from Swami Chinmayananda, which was on this. It said, bodies die, nobody's dies. And it made me then think, why are we in Vedanta after we realize that we are Brahman and it's only the body which comes and goes, and rebirth is not such a big thing, finally.
Actually, you have to say it more pertinently that I am not reborn. So, what does make a difference
Yes,
to me whether bodies are born
correct.
or then only it makes
Right,
sense.
right.
So, thank you. With this, we'll stop for today. Om
Thank you.
Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamavaya Purnamevavashyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.